Hey guys, happy Friday. It's Crypto Fud, and let's jump right into this. All right, guys. So, just a little recap. I didn't come out with any content yesterday. Was busy, not too busy for you guys, but just kind of, some days I like to just take a day or two off if nothing's really happening and kind of just reassess the situation and what's going on. First thing I wanted to start off with was obviously we saw yesterday we saw a drop in the market. Wasn't anything like crazy, like to be scared of or anything like that. But it was basically a drop, and it's in regards to. I'm sure a lot of people are aware. Yesterday, big tech earnings came out. They were released. Apple, you had Facebook, Google. You had a lot of these big companies come out and basically, you know, provide their earnings for quarter. I believe it was for the last quarter of the year that we just exited, 2022, and to be expected. For instance, Apple. Apple is the biggest company per market cap, right? They had, I believe it was like a 30% decrease in sales for their iPhones, and this is to be expected. I think if you speak with anybody right now, I don't really think that anybody would be too surprised if they found out that people aren't out spending $1,400 on an iPhone right now. They're probably making their iPhones last from the last season. It wasn't always like that. You go back just a year or two, and everybody that was in iPhone, the top tier people they had to have the new, brand new 14, 15, whatever was coming out. I think now a lot of people, even in the top tier, are just basically, sticking out and holding on to their previous series phone because it's just as of right now, I think a lot of people just would rather hold on to that $1,500. Or what's even worse is if you notice a lot of cell phone companies now, you finance these phones. So you finance a $1,500 phone and you end up spending like $2,000 on an iPhone throughout the year. So it's craziness. But this is to be expected right now when you have, commodities and still and everything, in daily life, as far as rent, housing mortgages, food, gas, basically those three things are pretty much anything that you kind of need to sustain life pretty much, for the most part. And all that is technically up still right now. Even if inflation is technically tricking down, it's still higher than it was just a year ago, a lot higher than it was 2 years ago. So when you get to these things that are not, survival things like a cell phone, as long as you have a cell phone and it's still functional and, you're able to do whatever you need to do on it, I think a lot of people are just holding off and they're not technically, going and getting themselves into deeper debt. So, but the markets react off of certain things like that because when you see companies and they have weak earnings, it just doesn't look good. So investors will react negatively, and Bitcoin basically did not wasn't able to get out of any of that mess. So yesterday we saw we technically we've been teeter tottering. We were, we hit a local high. I think this was like 2 days ago. Looks like, yeah, around 2 days ago we hit that 24,200 mark. We technically sit right now at 23,332. So I mean, it's we're still, everything's still looking great. It's just I think we're having a cool off period. And I keep saying that you have these ups and then you have these downs, ups and downs. But if you see, it's pretty much a consolidation is what it looks like. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, you need to zoom out and look at the big picture. We're above 23,000. Last week, we were trying to get past 23,000. We're above 23,000 now, and it looks like hopefully we can form some support somewhere above 23,000. So, like I said, with earnings and stuff like that coming out with the tech, especially with the tech, Bitcoin will go hand in hand with tech companies. So, a lot of investors that are invested in Apple and Tesla and all these other companies are going to be also invested in Bitcoin as well. So it is what it is, but I'm here to tell you guys that everything still looks great. Like I said, we're sitting over 23,000 for right now. Everything looks great, so we'll take it how it goes. Nothing goes straight up, and you're gonna have these ups and you're gonna have these cool off periods. But I think what I keep saying, you need to zoom out and look at where we were at a month ago, where we were at 3 weeks ago, where we were at 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and where we're at now. You know, ADA, ADA. I think was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. It was, yeah, we made a new local high of somewhere around 41.3 cents. ADA's looking good. They just came out with their stable coin. I think it's like Degend, if I'm not mistaken, which already rallied up like $30 million in assets and stuff like that behind it. A lot of basically what's going on with Cardano. What's awesome about Cardano is they're really building a strong, slow and steady ecosystem to where it's going to be, it's basically like how Ethereum is operating. You have a lot of projects that are operating layer 2 on Ethereum. Cardano is eventually going to be like that and they already are. They already have a lot of DeFi projects that are already built on the Cardano ecosystem. And this, with bringing in a strong stable coin, it's just going to bring in more. So looks great. I did see, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Joe Rogan's podcast. He had, I think his name's Lex on there, and they were basically talking about, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Joe Rogan was saying, crypto pretty much saying crypto and Sam were the same, and Lex had to correct him, and tell him, no. Bitcoin and crypto are completely opposite. Sam Bankman-Fried was a fraudster, and he ended up, making the ecosystem look, bad, just like a lot of bad players will. If whenever you hear people, doing hacks or frauding people out of money, this has nothing to do with particularly crypto. It has to do with the bad players that are in crypto. But at the same time, things like this unfortunately need to happen for us to build and get better in this ecosystem. That's how developers are going to learn and prevent stuff like this to happen in the long run, so we can kind of have a secure system as far as with crypto and the whole crypto ecosystem. But during that podcast, he spoke of Cardano and a couple other projects, but really was telling them about how Cardano, is something that's going to be, a force to reckon, and then in the near future. And a lot of people are pushing for Charles Hoskinson, the creator of Cardano, to actually get on Joe Rogan's podcast and explain, and all that stuff, like how Cardano works. And if that was to happen, something like that would be awesome for the Cardano community, because Joe Rogan's the number one podcaster in the world. A lot of people that don't even know, they just maybe heard of Bitcoin, but don't even know anything about like things like Cardano, could be exposed to something like this, and this could be something great. So just a lot of things rolling out with Cardano. Like I've always said to people around me and stuff like that, when they were like, why are you buying so much Cardano, especially when it was down, I was like, because I believe in this project, and this is a slow and steady project, and I think in the near future this is going to be, it's already top 10, but I think it's going to be definitely a top 5 coin, where it's really going to compete with Ethereum and Bitcoin. All that Ethereum killer crap, we're well past that. I think we all can coexist together, and we all can bring different things to the table, and basically just bring this community up together. Ethereum, Cardano, Bitcoin, a lot of other coins. ICP, ICP really hasn't been doing nothing crazy. It had a crazy, just nice run up, even when things were not looking the best. This thing was making all-time highs. It has had a cool off period it was at around $6.30. It's sitting technically at around $5.78. So, it's definitely not down or anything like that. It's just, I feel like right now with everything with the market, everything's cooling down. With the MACDs, we'll go back and look at the other coins too, but the MACD, it looks like it's definitely looks like it wants to curl, but at the same time, if you can see right here, it looks like we might even flip even farther to the downside for ICP. This could be short lived, but this is basically predicting, like for today, I would say, unless like we see some crazy rally, out of nowhere, probably stagnant, or we might even see some lower numbers with ICP. You might see something trail down, back down, where there was some good support somewhere around $5.65, I would say. With ADA definitely looks like around the same thing. It looked like it wanted to kind of flip and start heading back up. But if you look at the MACD, same thing. It hasn't flipped yet, but they're both lines, both moving averages are pointing down. So usually that's a sign that we're going to have some sort of a cool off period. With ADA, if we are going to cool off, we're probably going to go somewhere around 38 cents. So we'll see how that goes. In Bitcoin, let's see how Bitcoin's looking. Bitcoin, it's almost the same thing, but it's actually looks a little bit better. It just looks like it's about to just go stagnant. This is what it looks like. It looks like these lines are about to run parallel, not necessarily flip to the downside, but it just looks like it's about to be just sitting here stagnant. Again, with all this stuff, especially with the MACD, these are lagging indicators. So, I mean, if there's going to be a crazy run up or crazy run down, we really won't know necessarily. This is just based off of what you can see right now. And technically, if you zoom out like I did here, the MACD is pointing down. But when you zoom in, it actually is just pointing sideways, looking like it just wants to it'll probably sit somewhere around where we're at right now. Bitcoin looks like it has some really good support somewhere around 23,000 even. So like I said at the beginning of the video, as long as we stay above 23,000, I think we'll be okay, with the week closing here. We have the weekend, so, prepare yourself. Obviously, if I know a lot of us aren't day traders or anything like that, but, Sundays they're iffy, so, but most of the time I would say 6 out of 10 Sundays, it's usually a sell-off, nothing crazy, but usually a downward sell-off. You have those little, like 3 or 4 out of the 10, 30-40% of the time where you'll have some kind of a jump up or a nice little pump on Sundays. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how everything goes. But today, I don't think the markets look terrible. Obviously, we're having a cool off, and this is because of this job, with the whole big tech, the big techs coming out with their earnings and stuff like that, and just basically, they're letting everybody know that the economy right now is as of last quarter, is struggling in regards to buying things that we don't need for right now. So leave it there. We'll leave it there. I thank you guys so much. Gonna have some more videos coming out today on small caps and maybe anything in particular. I do want to focus on a certain project, Filecoin, so we'll check that out as well. But I thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, and I'll see you guys a little later.